For more on the SpaceX launch and the future of space tourism, I'm joined by Tariq Malik. He's an astrojournalist and managing editor of space.com. Well, how close do you think we are to viable space tourism?
Well, I think we're closer than we've ever been in the past. You know, we had a setback with the recent Virgin Galactic crash. They're building a passenger liner. They've bounced back from that this year. They've released a brand new spaceship. And just 7 days ago, another private spacecraft called New Shepard, built by Blue Origin, another company here in the U.S., launched and landed their own vehicle. So we've got two private rockets launching and landing within 7 days. I mean, that seems like a big step forward.
It is a big step forward. So walk me through the future. I mean, it's obviously going to go in phases. How do you see it evolving?
Well, right now, it seems like there's a three-tiered kind of path that we're looking at. We've got the trips to suborbit with some private companies that are building either space planes or rockets like Blue Origin's New Shepard to launch, paying passengers on short little trips. Then you've got companies like SpaceX and a few others that are building orbital rockets that'll launch people all the way into orbit. SpaceX and another company, Boeing in the States, have private contracts with NASA to fly American astronauts into orbit. That could easily be expanded to fly passengers if they have a place to go. Now, we heard about the Beam expandable module by Bigelow Aerospace. That could be a destination for these private spacecraft to send people to a space hotel, a private space station for research, or just to kind of stay and look at the Earth. And so those kind of three different tiers give a wealth of options for potential space tourists.
Now, there's the question of how accessible these programs will be to the average person, not just the super wealthy. I'd like you to listen to the assessment of Chris Anderson. He runs Space Adventures, which provides private space flight programs. Let's listen.
Within the next 10 years, there will be literally thousands of people going to space every year. And so it's certainly not millions like in civil aviation, but it's a heck of a good start.
Is he optimistic or is he right?
If you had asked me, a decade ago, if he was on the right track, I would say he's dreaming. But watching this industry develop over the last 15 years, like I have, there up until now, only about 550 or so people have flown in space. SpaceX, Boeing, Virgin Galactic, they're not building a spaceship for one person. They're going to be carrying 7 people at a time on these vehicles. If Bigelow Aerospace builds their space station, that's 6 people in just one module. He has set his sights for space hotels on the moon. They're not thinking small. And Elon Musk at SpaceX wants to put people on Mars in the next 20 years. So, I think that if they can get this the cost down. We're seeing that with reusable vehicles, that we could see this whole market change as swiftly as what Eric is saying.
Well, you're a space guy. Do you ever dream of this actually being something that you might do?
I would love to go to space. I've always wanted to try it. Just the idea that it might be closer than ever before is really exciting. And instead of only having 1 or 2 vehicles like we used to with NASA's space shuttle, Russia's Soyuz, now China, they have their own spacecraft. Instead of just having a handful, it seems like we're going to have a whole fleet of different options that do different things. There's even a balloon that's going to take people to the edge of space. It's going to have a bar. I mean, there's a very wide range of opportunities now for folks.
Give me your sense, and I know this is kind of the future. When do we really see this, though? Because people have been talking about this for a little while now. I mean, when does it really become a reality?
Well, it will take a stepping stone approach, and it may go slower than I think we'd all really hope. In 2004, there were really optimistic predictions that we'd see private space planes flying in 3 or 4 years. Obviously, it's been a decade or more now to iron out all of those kinks. So there will be hurdles along the way. I think that Space Adventures' Eric Anderson is not wrong with maybe like a 10-year mark for somewhat regular flights with passengers flying into space. They're not going to be airline ticket prices. They're going to be in the hundreds of thousands of flights or thousands of dollars per flight. But that's a lot lower of a price point than the tens of millions people have been paying up until now, and only 8 of them to go to the International Space Station.
Thanks so much for joining us from New York. It's a very interesting subject matter.